Well, it's the end of 2022 and also the end of the Machiko Noguchi trilogy. So there were 3 books in that series. We've completed them all now. Prey was obviously the first book. I still think the best book, and it was the one that really set up the character of Noguchi and who she was and what she was all about. Now, obviously, it was quite successful, I think, in line with the Dark Horse comics as well, and so there was always going to be a sequel. However, there were 2 sequels, and they make for a weird trilogy, because they're not really a trilogy at all. If you've listened through all 3 of them, you'll have noticed there's some weirdness to it, and I know somebody was commenting recently asking, is this the last book in terms of war? Well, it is, and it isn't. Prey clearly starts the trilogy off. Hunter's Planet was a sequel that was made before the comics were completed. And so the author of that knew that there was going to be a return of Noguchi, knew that she would leave the Predators and help the humans, and knew that there was a character called Shorty that she wouldn't get on with. And therefore all of that's in the Hunter's Planet book. But she also talks in that about having been on a miner's planet, which never really happened when you get to read War. Because chronologically speaking, War, the events of it, actually happened before Hunter's Planet. So I suppose the correct way to read it would actually be Prey, and then War, and then back to Hunter's Planet. Because that's how actually the story flows. But if you do that, you'll know now, not to give any spoilers away, that people die in War, who then reappear in Hunter's Planet, and some of the other facts, like miners now being scientists and so on, don't really pan out. For me, I still like Prey best, as I've said. I think I then like War next best, but there were some good features in Hunter's Planet, and I really liked Attila, the weird cyborg character in that. I certainly liked reading him anyway with the interesting voice that I went with. Anyway, enough about that. What's coming up next? So I've had a little Christmas break. I'm going to spend another week or 2 off, and then I'm coming back in with a departure away from the Aliens and Predator universe for now. The book I'm going to go with is a Joe Haldeman book. So again, I'm reading from an omnibus here. Now, there's 3 books in here. Again, they're not all connected, weirdly a bit like the Noguchi trilogy. Joe Haldeman is most famous for his book, The Forever War. Joe Haldeman was a Vietnam vet, and so when he came back, he felt really detached from the way that the world had moved on and didn't seem to respect or appreciate what was going on the other part of the world. Now, if you've not read it, I highly recommend Forever War. I'm not going to read it. There's plenty of audiobooks out there of it, but it's a very good book, and it effectively tells the tale of soldiers going off to war. But the way it works with time, space, and relativity is that when they go on a tour for, say, a year, they come back and like 100 years has passed on Earth, and so after a while, people don't even remember why they went and don't appreciate them. So you can kind of see the Vietnam War tie-in there. He did write a sequel to that book, which was Forever Free. Now, I didn't like that. I don't think it was as critically acclaimed. It wasn't as well written. It didn't have good themes to it. So Forever War is the one he's famous for. And then there's the forgotten one, Forever Peace. So Forever Peace has forever in the title, but isn't connected to the other books. And what Haldeman himself said when he wrote that one in 1997 was that he wanted to approach some sort of issues that weren't a thing when he wrote his original book in the late 70s. And the sort of themes that are discussed, therefore, in Forever Peace are more the things that were popping up in the late 90s. Primarily, drone warfare was becoming a thing. And we know now, 25 years later, how big a deal it is. So he imagined a world of 2043 in which mechs...
In the future sometime, this is a noise that's going to strike fear into the hearts of many.
Basically, drone robots are fighting on the other side of the world with their pilots back home. And he sort of explores how, and this is pertinent to today, flying a drone, driving a drone, and the things you do in a drone will still psychologically affect you, even if they don't physically affect you. A second part to the story of Forever Peace is around Hadron Collider, basically. At that point, the Large Hadron Collider was being built in Europe, and it was sort of reenacting what happened at the Big Bang. And many people were concerned, will it cause a new Big Bang? Will it end the universe? So in this book, again, about 50 years in the future, they're imagining the Jupiter Project, a massive, massive Hadron Collider that's going to bring us back to like a millisecond after the Big Bang. So there's 2 themes in this book that I'm going to read. One is around drone warfare and how that can affect drone pilots. And the other one is the scientific angle behind recreating the Big Bang and whether that could in fact be the end of the human race. So it's an award-winning book. It's really good. It's going to be longer than the Aliens versus Predator books. They came in at about 6 to 7 hours. I'm predicting about 12 to 13 hours on a read of this. There'll be around 40 chapters probably. However, the book isn't broken into chapters, so I'm just going to put it together in parts, each of which will be roughly 15 to 20 minutes to go for consistency. Now, if you're thinking, I like Aliens and Predators, I'm with you on that one, I just needed a break, but the next book after this one, so coming in probably February, March, I'm going to go back into the Aliens universe. I'm going to go back to an author we like, S.D. Perry, and I'm actually looking at a book called Berserker, because it's another one I can't find an audio book for. But it is the prequel, effectively, to War. So if you've listened to War, some of the characters in that, so Jess and Ellis, they keep talking about, when we were on this planet and when these things happened. So there's spoilers in there. But I'm intrigued now to read the original story behind that and what happened in their backstory. So that's what we'll come back to. So we've got Forever Peace, drones and end of the world science, and then back to Aliens Berserker for colonial marines fighting aliens again. So, Happy New Year, and a big thanks. We've just hit 50 subscribers today, so that's really good. So keep subscribing, keep commenting, keep liking, and do comment. I respond to every comment. If there's something you'd like to see, or you want to see more of this or less of that, do let me know. Other than that, have a Happy New Year.
We'll catch you next time.